Bonjour and welcome to French Action. If you are interested in the TEF or TEF, this video is for you. This is part 1 of the video focusing on section A of the oral section. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! Let's go through the facts. So the TEF can be taken for an employer who wishes to know your level of French at the time of employment. It could also be you want to know your level of French, you can take the TEF. And if you want to get the French citizenship, you can take the TEF as well. Now, if you want to immigrate to Canada, or get the Canadian citizenship, you will still get the TEF, but it's called the TEF Canada. More facts, and let's be clear about it. It's not an exam, it's a test. TEF stands for Test d'Évaluation de Français, and its aim is to assess the candidate's level of French based on the Common European Framework of References for Languages, you know, the one with A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. And you need to know that the test is completely in French. So regardless of your mother tongue, you know that for those who speak English, know English. So you're going to say, oh, but what's the difference between an exam and the test, the TEF? Well, I'm going to tell you that there's a big difference because for the exam, you prepare for a particular level. For example, if you prepare for the DELF, you're going to decide, okay, I'm going to go for DELF B1. You know you're preparing for DELF B1, and everyone preparing for DELF B1 will take the same exam towards that DELF B1. With the TEF, it's different because we don't know your level, and everyone takes the same test, regardless of their level. With the exam, at the end, you get some results and you know whether you've passed or you've failed. But with the TEF, there's no pass, there's no fail. Because with your exam, you get a grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, or grade A, B, C, depending on the exam. And if you failed, you may resit the exam the following year, for example, right? But with the TEF, it's really based on the level achieved because you will get a number of points. And if you don't reach the expected number of points, you will say, well, I think I have failed this exam, but it's you who will decide on that. But as I said, there's no pass, no fail. And also, your exam is generally valid for life, whereas the TEF is only valid for 2 years. So, what are you going to be assessed on this section A of your oral test? Well, how you interact in a formal setting, so it's going to be formal. How you take initiatives and ask relevant questions to obtain information, which is the main aim of this activity. How you react to unexpected responses from the examiner, how accurately you speak using the right level of grammar and the right words, and how clearly and fluently you speak. So obviously we look at your pronunciation, you listen to your pronunciation and fluency. Mes astuces, here are my tips. Okay, this is section A, which lasts 5 minutes. No preparation time. You have all your instructions in French, as you know. Let's read this together. Vous avez lu cette publicité et vous êtes intéressé. Vous téléphonez pour avoir plus d'informations. Posez une dizaine de questions. Votre examinateur ou examinatrice joue le rôle de votre interlocuteur ou interlocutrice. So that is something like that you could get with a flyer. So tip number 1, remember to use vous because it's a formal setting. You will have to talk to somebody you don't know, and you will be talking about services, and then obviously you will need to be very formal. So for example, bonjour madame, bonjour monsieur, je vous appelle au sujet de votre annonce. A good way to start. Tip number 2, practice the use of questions because you will need them to obtain information. So remember, puis-je, can I, or est-ce que je peux? Dois-je, do I have to, or est-ce que je dois? Peut-on réserver en ligne? Is it possible to book online? Or, quelles sont les heures d'ouverture ou quelles sont les heures de fermeture? What are the opening hours or what are the closing hours? So make sure you know how to ask questions. Tip number 3, listen carefully to the answers. You'll find that the examiner will provide you with vague answers. For example, you're asking a question and the examiner says, ça dépend. So you could say, ça dépend de quoi? Or you could say, pouvez-vous préciser s'il vous plaît? But make sure that you react to that answer. Tip number 4, show that you understand the responses from your examiner. You need to acknowledge them. So for example, you could say, ah oui, je comprends, or d'accord. If you agree, très bien, ça me convient parfaitement. Make sure that you say something and not just asking questions only. Here's an example here. You have asked a question on the price. You could say something like, c'est un peu cher. Avez-vous un tarif de groupe? And my final tip for you is don't let the examiner intervene. You know that you'll have about 10 questions to ask, so if you speak too slowly, you may not have time to ask them. And make sure that the questions are relevant and appropriate. So you need to practice, and here's an example of an introduction. Bonjour madame, bonjour monsieur, j'ai vu votre annonce et je suis intéressé par je suis intéressé par vos services, je suis intéressé par whatever is on the flyer. Je vous appelle pour avoir plus de précisions sur votre annonce. So, how do we prepare for the TEF? Well, what I would say to you is that you need to have an idea of your level. So let's say you decide that your level is A2 based on something you have done, or maybe your teacher has told you that you're A2, you may decide to go to the next level. The next level is not necessarily B1 because now you have A1, A1 plus, A2, A2 plus. So you may go towards B1, but remember there's also A2 plus, okay? So my advice to you is to go to the next level, which you can, and if you manage A2 plus, then go straight to B1. And to do that, you have to check out all the online resources. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of practice, so please do. What I would say though, there's some resources which I have noticed online which are a little bit inaccurate. So be careful, do your research. Some people have passed their C1, C2 and they feel that they can just give you a video, prepare a video all in French on it. And when you see the writing, you notice the mistakes. So be careful. And another thing or another resource I would definitely advise you to use is Prep My Future, which is an online platform and it prepares you for the TEF. And the price you're going to pay for it is for the whole year. So if you have that year, and it's not expensive. So go for it. You have a lot of resources there, and it's made by native speakers. So for this section, the examiner is looking at three main things: the syntax, the vocabulary section, and fluency and pronunciation. For the syntax is basically how you construct your sentences. Are they simple sentences? Are there more complex sentences? Because obviously you can't have a complex sentence and be an A1, for example. So how the complexity of your sentences will give you a higher level. Vocabulary, the same thing. Fluency and pronunciation. Fluency, very important, because if you hesitate each time you speak, you're not going to be at the same level as somebody who speaks continuously. So these are the main things we're looking for. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Au revoir.